Hey everyone, today we are taking a look at a very fast WQHD, so a 1440p monitor featuring the still pretty new high-end QD-OLED tech. In my opinion, it's a perfect fit as an external monitor for fast gaming laptops like the MSI Vector 16HX with the RTX 5070 Ti, for example. Specifically the Titan Army G2785S. Coming in at 26.5 inches, and on paper it really packs everything that makes a good WQHD gaming monitor. But of course, as always, I'll also be diving into any potential weak points. Full transparency here, the device was provided to me by the manufacturer for this review, but besides that, no money changed hands. There were absolutely no restrictions for the review, they haven't seen the video before you, and just like with all my reviews, none of this stops me from explicitly calling out the negatives as well. So I figure people with fast gaming laptops probably often use these devices as their only home computer and want to use them in a stationary setup as well. And obviously, gaming is way more fun on a 27-inch like screen than on 15 to 17 inches. And definitely let me know what kind of monitor you are using for your laptop, or if you're using its own monitor only. But of course, this monitor would also work flawlessly with a desktop PC and all current gen consoles. Alright, let's start with the most important specs here. A 26.5-inch display. It is 16:9 in the aspect ratio at a resolution of 2560 by 1440 pixels, resulting in a pixel density of 111 ppi. The panel built here is a QD, like in quantum dot OLED, with up to a 240Hz refresh rate, featuring adaptive or Freesync, paired with an ultra-fast gray-to-gray response time of just 0.03 milliseconds, meaning ghosting effects are practically non-existent here, even during fast movements. The coating is technically glossy, but covered with a special layer to reduce reflections. The reason for this is that a matte screen in bright rooms ends up washing out the blacks and therefore works against one of the main selling points for OLEDs, the contrasts and black levels. The brightness is rated at up to 400 nits in HDR mode, and the color gamuts are well over 100% each. However, using a Spider X Pro, I only measured up to 220 nits in SDR mode myself, as well as up to 265 nits with the brightness boost, along with the following color gamut values: 100% for sRGB, 94% for Adobe RGB, 98% for P3, and 91% for the NTSC color space. Now, purely based on the color values, this is obviously really good, but we'll clear up in just a bit why I think this monitor isn't exactly ideal for content creation and especially working with text. By the way, the before and after during calibration was noticeable but not overly dramatic, meaning the monitor doesn't come pre-calibrated, but it's definitely within reason. Not essentially important for gamers, but something you should know. The contrast ratio is typical for OLEDs, practically infinitely high at 1.5 million to 1, which means we get really rich colors, deep black levels. That obviously makes playing games or watching movies and series much more fun. The viewing angles are basically perfect at 178 degrees. Colors and such also don't shift when viewing from the sides or from above or below. The pure display ports leave nothing to be desired with 2 HDMI 2.1 and 2 DisplayPort 1.4, but unfortunately there is no additional USB hub included here. On the upside, there's a 3.5mm audio jack for headphones or speakers. The latter are actually not integrated here. The included stand, located next to the mandatory VESA mount on the back, seems almost tiny compared to the monitor, but it provides enough stability for the Titan Army G27, which is surprisingly light overall at just 5.25 kg. Plus, in my opinion, it offers everything a stand should be able to do, like simple height adjustments. You can tilt it forward and backward, as well as the ability to rotate the screen up to 90 degrees for a vertical use, which in turn probably implies that you'd mostly use it for text or just for working, which I don't think is quite optimal due to the QD-OLED tech and the color fringing that comes with it. Because usually the RGB colors in screens sit right next to each other inside the pixels. The newer QD quantum dots OLED panels, on the other hand, have triangular clusters of red, green and blue as pixels, and that looks like this. So a point of criticism with QD-OLED is that this pixel structure leads to green and red color fringing, especially on high contrast and sharp edges. You can reduce it a bit with the dark mode. How strong or annoying you perceive them is definitely very subjective, though I have over 20/20 vision and I notice them right away. But during gaming or media consumption, this is absolutely irrelevant and not noticeable. The variable refresh rate here, so Freesync or adaptive sync, worked flawlessly here on the MSI laptop powered by the RTX 5070 Ti. The screen is recognized as G-Sync compatible in the NVIDIA control panel. The resulting image is just buttery smooth, much more fluid and without any screen tearing. Once you've compared having it on versus off, you won't want to go back. In the case of the Titan Army G27, the screen frequency is set to double the numbers of FPS at low frame rates. I also recommend displaying the current Hertz counter in the top right corner of the screen just to verify if it's set correctly and actually working. Speaking of settings, the on-screen display menu is really comfortable to navigate using the small 4-way joystick on the bottom edge along with the 4 additional buttons. The menu items are mostly self-explanatory and make sense, and I'll just show you guys some of the available settings here for a bit. By the way, there are various anti-burn-in features here, so I think that can really be prevented quite well. Alternatively, the OSD menu can also be controlled via an app on your PC or laptop to change settings even more comfortably with a mouse. That's obviously a nice feature too if you frequently want to or need to tweak the settings here. The design of the Titan Army G2785S is overall quite minimalistic but definitely modern in black with an optically supposedly thin bezel, although the actual bezel is factually a whole chunk larger since the pixels don't reach all the way to the edge here. Taking a closer look, we essentially have 3 different bezels. First, the really thin physical bezel, then a larger black area without pixels, and then another small area that seemingly doesn't display anything. Whether that's used for pixel shifting as an anti-burn-in feature, I honestly don't know. If desired, the Titan Army logo on the back can actually be lit up quite brightly, by the way. The power consumption in standby is thankfully at 0 watts. At a maximum brightness in SDR mode on a white background at 240 Hz, it pulls a hefty 65 watts. That's not a small amount for a PC monitor, even though, to be fair, you obviously have to factor in the OLED panel and the high refresh rate here. In a typical scene, like for example in Crimson Desert, also at 240 Hz and maximum brightness, it's around 33 watt, which seems to be reasonable. In the same scene at 50% brightness, it's down to 26 watt only. I honestly didn't test HDR because, in my opinion, at 400 nits it just doesn't make any sense. That's not true HDR then, and I simply wouldn't use it like that anyway. But I also think it doesn't matter on an OLED. Looks always more awesome than IPS or TN displays either way. Overall, the Titan Army G2785S more than convinced me as a gaming monitor. You definitely have to keep the color fringing of the QD-OLED tech in the back of your mind, and burn-in is also theoretically possible, although the on-screen menu offers a huge selection of tools here to prevent that. But technically speaking, this thing is just really damn good. It's so much fun to game on, even long-term. One point of criticism, as mentioned, is still that weird bezel setup here, and maybe, well, the color fringing, which is not Titan Army's fault. The price at the time of making this review is listed at $399 or euros on sale, and I'll drop a link for that in the description and the comments for you guys, and also have a look if I found a discount code for you. I think on AliExpress with shipping, it's even just about 380 euros or dollars, depending on the coupon. Just check out what works for you. I might also put in some coupon codes in the description of the comments. Alright, and that's it for today's video. If you liked the review and if it helped you out, feel free to leave a like and or even subscribe to the channel for more content around laptops, gaming handhelds, mini PCs and more. Thank you. Also, thanks a lot for watching all the way to the very end. See you next time. Bye bye and tschüss.